unit of telematic crimes. They are part of my family. As I say, they have showed me how we can cooperate. I always discuss that with Cesar and with Javi. Traditionally, we have seen each other as enemies when they were chasing us, when they were after us, and then Cesar saying, oh, don't be that bad as you are being. But now we are cooperating, we are collaborating, all of us, to strengthen security. Thank you so much for being here. You have the floor. Hello, good afternoon to you all. So we are the last barrier between you and your party and your beers this evening. So we will try to go fast in our presentation because we are behind the schedule. I'd like to thank the organizers and all of you for opening the doors to us, for calling us to come here and to kind of join your world, so to speak. So today we really want to share with you one of the research operations that we did. It was quite good fun. So actually it is unrelated to APT, and then you go and say, why have you included APT on the title? Because someone said, look, if you write down APT on the title, we will be getting 10 scores or 10 points more. Actually, this is not about APT. Today, I will tell you about an incident that a telecommunication company had. So that company became, like really stubborn and said that is an APT, an APT, an APT, and we said no. Well, after that, when we brought together the two researches, the two investigations that we did, and after applying the traditional mechanisms that we often use, we reached the conclusions that it was not an APT, but they were right. So without further ado, as Roman said, well, many of you know us. We are from the telematic crime of the unit of Guardia Civil. Well, I don't know whether you here there are many people who read El Jueves magazine or not, and this is a cartoon which I very much liked because, well, some people believe that we are like that. That's the image that they have of ourselves. Some other people believe that, that this is what we do, that we are just like that. Well, if you ever aspire to work with Guardia Civil as a full-fledged member, that will not happen to you. We are not that either. So we are just civil guards that one day we decided to work on the telematic crime to do investigation on that. Here we see our star, media star. He's Javi. He has been shown, he has appeared on the El País magazine. And then, well, this is for you to see which is our organizational structure. So this is the structure that we have. That's where we are on the little corner there. Below left, but we are not alone. We have the advantage of having good friends, people who help us out, and well, one way or another, we make noise, loud noise. So in all the serious presentations, okay, we include always that logotype. But this is, well, this is what I like much more. We are a bunch of crazy people, Guardia Civil, and we have to investigate complicated issues. And as Andres and Miguel have manufactured something new, well, now we are starting to think about that. Well, the topic for this presentation, it is not related to APT, but of course, I don't want to do my presentation without doing the typical introduction to talk about APT. So this is the latest one that you have, but there are very many other APTs. You can see the names on the screen. So what is this talk about? Well, the talk is about not generating any panic. When people hear about APT, everyone goes, starts to panic. Who is spying me? Governments, this and that. Let me tell you that we have an APT, or whatever it looks like, an APT. We have thieves, we have people who steal, people who want money. And for that, to get the money, they are going to use malware tools, programs that they may develop, abilities or functionalities of APT that make it look like an APT, but actually there is no APT behind it. Focusing on the investigation that we did, the target of the attack was a telecommunication company. Of course, I will not disclose the name. It would not be good for you to know whom they are. And there were some of the investigation data that we brought with us are kind of biased, okay, or kind of hidden. But I'm sure that some of you would guess the company we are talking about, but I'm not going to say it. Anyway, when we talk about a telco provider, I think about the regulation, the um, national security system, the Spanish security system, and I think about that, something like in good order and then well protected, like a bastion, very difficult to gain access that. Well, of course, I can steal data from a bank customer, but, well, should be difficult, to do damage to one of these big telecom company. But the thing is that this telecom company often work with other branches, with other delegations, with other entities, which do not look that nice, more or less like that. Well, I don't know whether you have been to one of the stores when the telephony lines of these companies are sold. Okay, they are not as bad as that, but they are not much better. Anyway, so it was a provider providing a service to both individuals as well as governments as well as companies. They and now you can see the structure. Well, the problem that they had was the way they operated. They have headquarters and then they have very many different branches. They have different delegations, branches in different regions of Spain. They have sales representatives, and whether they did it right or not, these delegations, these branches had access to the central system. Well, if you take a look at that, it says, well, nothing strange, nothing wrong. So everything was going okay for that telecom company up until one Sunday. Well, I'm sure you've seen a person such as him. Well, these people are forbidden from coming close to our office because these are real danger. So this person was there, like contracting lines, and then he got an email, one more email on the day, and he got a list of all the clients that have just subscribed one of those telephone lines, which is not that strange, because the management of this type of new subscriptions, new clients had been delegated to these branches. But the thing is that the man in the previous photograph, he started to wonder, to ask himself, well, perhaps those of you here does not ask yourselves this, but this man said to himself, well, what can I do? Well, nothing, there is no problem. And I say, I'm not going to verify the account. Okay, so same as every Monday, I don't verify the account. Well, there was no digital signature, no digital certificate or anything. What do you do with that? Well, you know the answer, but not everyone knows the answer. The AV, the antivirus, tells you that everything is clean, that there is no problem. Well, my father, my sister, anyone, what would do? Open it. Then saw a list of clients, no problem. Big mistake. Big mistake because that was the start of everything. I'm not going to go into the technical side of it. Then we showed that to him, okay? And then, well, he just split his side. Now, of course, I'm not going to go into that. But when someone suffers or something happens, something like this happened to you, then someone in the company says, oh my God, an APT. The Chinese have found us and they are attacking us. So when someone mentions something, look, this is what happens in the company. Chaos, everyone running away, call the firemen, bike raid. 2 minutes later, everyone starts to say, who's attacking us? Who's attacking us? Every time people mention APT, everyone starts to think about China. They are here selling telephones, this and that. They have the highway handset now. More specifically, this office at Pekin, I'm sure that you are all aware of it. So when you mention that to the head of security of the company, Well, he tells you, well, we have an APT, this is the end of the world, this is a world war, and we have to stop that. And so what happens? Well, it is just a world war. And what happened? Well, these people opened the file, they got access to the database of clients, and then they could do every single thing they could think of. So that is to say, they kind of had control over the company in terms of management, in terms of subscribing lines, desubscribing lines. Then when the security people saw that, they thought about an APT, and this is the face they pulled, and they say, I didn't do anything, why me? And then they came to us and they said, what is happening to us? And then, well, there were several possible options. And I said, well, perhaps there is an evil mastermind who wants to destroy your company. They like to hear that. Or it's just someone who is looking for money. And then when they go and say, well, no, this is an APT, this comes from China, we've been infiltrated. No, it's an evil mastermind, it's a criminal. Then we assumed that hypothesis and we started to work on the issue thinking that there was an evil mastermind behind. Well, because we had to face that mastermind and say, well, okay, let us do a last attempt. Well, but what happened to you? What has actually happened? Has any money been stolen? Has you been suffered any damage? Well, the answer is always no, no, no. Never any money has been lost, zero fraud. But in this case, they didn't want to answer. They didn't want to answer because they're really anxious. And I said, well, no, they haven't stolen any money, but I have an APT. I've been attacked through an APT. So they called us, and then we took Javi out of the cage. We always enclose him in a cage, and they say, Javi, go to the company, see what is happening, and check whether it is an APT or not. And then, well, this sequence, then we went to the company, and now Javi will tell you what he did there, everything that he looked into, and then, well, after he gathered all that evidence, well, we just sat down and said, well, what direction should we take? Should we follow? Well, we were talking about attacks, new threats, new techniques, everything. We never go one step beyond. Well, of course you can attack, they have attacked, and what happens with the evil people? So if you see an inform for any threat, any incidents or whatever, well, what happens with the evil ones, okay? Who has chased them? Who has gone after them? Often the response is nothing or no one, but because we are obsessed with that, yes, we can go after them, we can chase them. Now, Javi will tell you about all the technical details, and then I will tell you about the solution of the story. Okay, can you hear me? Well, I was drinking, the typical civil servant coffee, and then they told me about Chinese IPT, and well, so the idea was, so they were telling me about this scenario. Well, the telecom company thought it had been attacked in several places, okay, or locations or branches or offices. The thing is that we approached the problem in 4 different ways. So the machines that we suspected that had received any vulnerability, we checked them out. We acquired the RAM memory. We also did cloning of hard drives. And then we also did a backup live. We analyzed the RAM memory. The advantage here was that you go to the place and then the person who is reporting the case is ready, is willing to cooperate. So you analyze RAM memory. Well, there were a good number of machines. And then how do you analyze RAM memory? Well, we all do volatility. You all know volatility, isn't it? But and Jara rules. These are the rules that we used. So remember that we are facing allegedly Chinese APT. So basically, when we started to take a look at the processes, update.x, typical, isn't it? We could break it with Jara rules. Jara rules is a system that goes through the system looking for streams. Well, you can repeat it in memory, etc. Well, we suspected that it was not a very ninja malware because of Cybergate. And I say I can download it on the internet at any time. So, in 2 hours, we already knew that, well, APT, I could feel like that. Is that an APT? I'm going to be successful. I'm going to resolve the case. Okay, I'll go for one more coffee. Well, with all that evidence, we decided to do a pickup. So we wanted to analyze volatility, well, that were being used by the malware. So we did a pickup. We use it quite often because it saves us lots of time in complex cases. So I tried to do a man in the middle. Well, with a switch, with an applier, I forwarded all the traffic, and that was loaded onto pickup. And I did that for all the offices across Spain. And then I used a snort rule. You know that this is an IDS. I used the snort to control all the traffic and then to get, well, more information. Snort rules, well, the paid ones are expensive, the free ones work quite all right. And whenever we do not have any snort rule, well, I just make one myself. This is not complicated as long as you know what you're looking for. So what we obtained after connecting to several domains and several IPs from several countries, well, Ukraine, I don't know whether that has became Russia or not now, so please, the Russian person here, Ukrainian people here, do not get angry, please. Oh yes, we have a Russian man here. I love putting myself. Right, we have a number of APTs and domains pointing to these countries. So, and what was, well, that was a problem for us. However, there was something which was highly characteristic, okay? A connection was done through port 81. This is logical. I'm sure that that's the way it is. You know, that's the way you learn. In all the tutorials, they go and said, okay, if you want to test it, open port 81. And port 81 was open. And I said, well, this Chinese person was just an intern, was just a beginner, isn't it? Well, the flaw or the failure was that we are talking about offices, okay? We are not talking about the headquarters. We are talking about the branches. Well, the exit firewall had not been blocked. So that is to say, data filtration, that is to say, connection was not Tor. You know that some malware connects itself through Tor, but it was not the case. And something else that we had to do, of course, we have traced everything. We wanted to check out to analyze the USB devices. We really wanted to find out about the intention vector. Well, of course, they have been hacked, but what did they use to do that? Well, when they told us about APT, we thought that it was an exploit, you know, really damaging one. And then at the end, we did our analysis and we reached some conclusions. Well, in the beginning, we retrieved all the IDs from USBs because they point at the registry where the USB ID is stored. Then there were like 2,000 million USB devices that have been connected to these computers in the past 20 years. It was just impossible to do so. However, well, after analyzing the RAM, etc., well, we could see, we tried to recover the deleted files on the USBs, and then, well, we could see that lots of shit can be introduced through a USB, that it was not the case. Well, we did a number of meetings, so this is just an example of what happens. Well, Javi was taking care of all that, and I was just having like great lunches around and all that. So when you read about that and this and that, well, there was a person, that have plugged a small fridge to a USB. Well, it works well. You take it to work, okay? You have your Red Bull with you. Okay, and now moving to the core of the story. Well, you dismount the CPU, you do the application. You might use the DD, which is the solution for the poor ones. So this is duplicate disk. And then we wanted to boost those machines in a virtual environment, praying and hoping that was unprotected for the issue of virtual machine. We wanted to do live analysis. We wanted to do a static and dynamic analysis, which is the classic thing to do when you analyze malware. As I told you before, through the duplication of the memory, well, we could see that this referred to update.x, which was an executable file from Windows. The weight of it, the size of it was 200 Ks. Well, if you ever work with Silvergate 15, try it. So the thing here is that the server that you use to infect the service is not very big, but it is easily detectable by antivirus. So the people behind that, they did a crypta. And what is a crypta? Well, the problem with crypta is that your binary will grow a lot, but it will actually be invisible. So actually the original virus with the original one did a match with 4 files. Well, it did 4 out of 48. So the crypta creator talks about a fully undetectable crypta. I'll tell you about this really quickly. What is a crypta? Crypta is made up of 2 utilities. Well, the stop, and the cryptor and the binder. So these are code routines that go into original binary, and it encrypts the binary, the malware, the RAM memory. So what happens? That you have a binary which has been encrypted, and then the AV, when it does the reading, it only finds the streams, and then when it is executed, first of all, it self-executes itself through memory, the process in malware, and AVs do not analyze, do not scan the memory. And then they approach this problem through heuristic because it fails a lot. So something that I would like to share with you are the security by default by Abraham Passamer. I encourage you to read it because this is a good explanation of all this. Well, that includes 5 or 6 articles in Spanish, and it explains very nicely what a cryptor does. Cryptor allows you to do something which is undetectable by an AV. This is a technique that is widely used. Lots of paper has been written about cryptors. There are better cryptors, there are worse cryptors. This cryptor was not very sophisticated, but it has worked. And, well, there are 2 types of cryptors, public as well as private. This one was a public one. It was a mode of OpenCryptor, which is made on Delphi, that you can download it, you can change it, modify it, etc. Well, basically the malware characteristics was, well, the type of APT, well, that could be a RAT type tool. Well, that is really big, okay? You use it to do your botnet, to make some money out of it. These people used RAT tool, RAT type tool. It is executed or it runs in user land. They also use reverse connection. They can detect processes in the OS. In this case, it may also can also inject the processes of the OS. Well, with pickup, we left pickup for a few days running, and we could see the upload and download of files. So RAT type, it also had access to webcam, cool listening it, and then keylogger, of course, and then a password recovery tool. I'm using it now. It is very nice, and all the passwords that you have, you search engine or whatever, you can gain access to that. Well, the files that are sent out are encrypted. So we use the Holly. Do you have an IDA license that we can borrow from you? Anyway, from the only, well, the only decent protection was the debugger present. It is an API within kernel 32. It does consultation to a pointer whether it is being debugged or not. If it is being debugged, it goes away. Well, what could that happen? Well, when you see the call in the program flow, you can do several things. What we did was the following. At the end, we did two operations, and then in the EAX register, if it's 0, it stores a 0. And then it tells me whether I'm being debugged or not. So if you add a 0 to EAX, then it's over. And then Jago took a different approach. Then he included a number of links. And then the easiest one, well, you can use some plugins. For instance, Hard Debugger does that, and then it also includes like additional functions. Now, moving on to the infection vectors. So we have the malware, we know what it does, where it connects itself, what it sends out, and then we wanted to know why it has just done that. Well, after looking at the hard drives, and then after talking to people, we could see many emails. Well, we wouldn't tell you the name of the emails, they had an interesting name. Do you remember in the RSA when it was H. Leggery or RSA saying, okay, open this Excel file, it will tell you about the profitability or the performance in the month of October. Everyone opens it. So this one, the PDF is executed, PDF is open, so that is an Adobe, vulnerable Adobe version, and then it opens a window, and it says, do you want to see it? And then you click on OK, and when you click on OK, you were executing the binary file inside it, as easy as that. And of course, it also showed that it was not that the people behind that, attackers, knew the workings of the company. And then they, well, because these people, the attackers, had done their own OSINT. So with all the conclusions, we just put them inserted in our big data machine. Yes, we are CV7s, but would you expect? And then after using Maltego, which is a tool that we're using quite a lot, is being quite successful, especially for big data. Maltego is not good, for minor searches, but for big data, it's okay. As I say, we entered all the information that we have gathered. Well, very short. Many of those IPs, actually there were a good number of them, appeared in paste sites, in RPD servers that have been that have received vulnerabilities, that have been attacked. Well, and then we could see a good number of them. Then those servers, well, they also appeared in other places and that had been hacked before. And then we also gathered a type of operational information. We reached a number of forums. Many of them were on blacklist. This was confirming us that they were using attacked servers. Well, and now I want to reach the server. So regarding the technical side of it, I will be very fast in here. The conclusions that we draw, technical conclusions, were the rat type malware without not even if it is not very sophisticated, it has gone as far as that. Actually, they did an APT to a telecom company. Then the infection vector was surprisingly enough, this time was a PDF. It is widely used, but the attack was made at the user level. When they wanted to attack, they didn't run a service that was running inside. It attacked the user, or in this case, the worker of this big telecom company. Also connection to multiple IP domains, or IPs or domains. So this structure kind of was outside Spain, but at the end of the day, we are talking about attacked structures. And again, we were very much surprised about how easy it was to bypass an AVS when you're working on with exploits, this and that. No. Okay, so that helps you save lots of time. And well, that's basically the conclusions that we reached for the technical side. Now I'd like to give the floor to my boss. Okay. Well, and then, okay, yes, after his coffee. Okay, and as I said yesterday, well, Javi has been classified as a cyber weapon. He is a cyber weapon.
Ruben did point in the discussion as if this were a paper regarding a security incident at school. We paper wall, we uploaded, we publish on the net, and there you go. We aren't this way. We are very obsessive. So if we grab a bone, we don't give it away. Once seeing this, you look like Ukraine is not for them to ask them a lot of things. So United Kingdom don't trust them. You understand it's a scary about the Americans, France, historical enemies. No way. Unbelievable or not, policemen, civil guards, we have our cons, we have our things, we have our private meetings. You are not invited to attend our private cons or rooted con our Interpol, the European Union Council, G8. We get together, we police people, enforcement officers get together in these international police meetings to talk about everything. And we also have communication channels that normally work. Let's put it, sometimes these international law enforcement groups channels work properly, but following Roberto, you can't imagine how profitable is to pay for coffees and for lunches, because during these lunches you get to know new people and have personal friendships, and you know outsiders, foreigner policies. We can help you out, and we ask them to recover some logins from our control panel. Sometimes I'm sad that you can be angry, but after making the most of the coffees and the invitations to lunches, the APT is over. So let's make a complete paper is over. There's nothing we can do after that. So Javi comes to me. I don't know what to do, because it seems like there's a critical fracture. This is cyber war, cyber espionage, cyber attack. We won't get anything out of it. But it's like a latch. It's like a lock. It's like a latch. Let's follow the itinerary, the track, the trade of the money, 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 money. A long time ago, French people say all these crime people, all these criminals look for the woman, but in this very case, the cyber criminals look for the money. Once you got the control of a telco, how can I monetize this control? How can I get sign-ups? Can I cancel my invoices or my billing? Will get caught red-handed. Can I change my billing account for my never to pay for it? Will get caught red-handed. Do I change my rates on my phone bill? You get caught. If I generate sign-ups, lines, and subsidies for my benefit, okay, I'm not the holder of that line. and I won't get caught. So they wanted to get the terminals, the handset, and then all these SIM cards generated with the signals were merged into additional rate lines, not only sexual lines, 905, 906, tarot, playing card, violence, witchery. So before this situation, we found out how many sign-ups you got through this client's credentials stolen, how many terminals he subsidized, where these terminals appear, what cars, what SIM cards were used, because telephone operators um, have all this information, can give you in their regulations framework. So in the very end, with this amount, a pile of sheet with the phone status, login call, I put it in my own big data analysis machine, which are 5 police officers, two guards at the office, keying commands. In the very end, all the terminals, all the handsets were sold and given in a call center, and all the SIM cards were sold to other people through these call centers. And besides, we also have three guys, which were the holders of the additional rate phone lines. We were benefited from this. We got the money. So you contract a number line, and for all the people you are calling or bring calling, you get half the money. And if you generate all this massive traffic without in a costless way, you get a killing. You made a killing out of it. Perhaps there are the call centers, and that's it. The IPs from call centers. We're going to do it. There were the call centers, the fraudsters, the tricksters, the Chinese people. They did an APT low cost. Please go to high class low cost call centers. That were the call centers where they sold the SIM cards, sold to other buddies for them to call, and perhaps following the digital track or trail, they can got you caught. And they were these serious guys were the holders of the lines. The APT problem was solved, finished, and we got you, and we have the artillery to kick you out. This is easy. We don't have any complicated APT job. We spent 3 months checking everything, and in this was solved in just 3 week time, with no computers, with no cyber weapons as usual. So this is the dark side you never see, but this is it. This is like this.
Bonita la de salsa.
This is the salsa dancing part. We got the villain, the bad guy. Now let's get it. Let's get him. Since they interrupted our coffee and spoiled our 3 week war, let's get him caught. If I get out from my chair, is to arrest you, to get you bust. So this is the summary we did. Is the summary of the detention of these criminals. Is this me? Yes, it's me. Of course. Why not? There you go. You can see. Oh, we got the price. The terminals were at home, at their own house. The terminals were some SIM cards. You can see on screen. It looks like an attacker, suspicious attacker. In the very end, we won. We caught you because, like I said, a little troll, a little low-cost Trojan. They don't care about hiding it. So this is it. This is the dark side of the reports. Before any threats or incidents, we have the geek way to confront. Let's go there, get the images. Let's see the Picas, analyze all of this. This is a way I don't usually understand. Javier, do whatever you want. When you get something, come back to me. is successful. It gives the result. Sometimes you cannot get to the end, but you can get to some point or some point of connection on some computer, but it works. But if this part is supported by research, investigation, done from forever, it has been the woman or the butler. We don't know. It's also successful. You don't have to be a super freak geek to do so, but it's super successful. To conjugate investigation and technological issues, Javi and other people who come here and whose brains will burst out. The combination, the um, coordination of both technology issues, investigation works very well. And what matters the most is to have a cold mind. I'm a funny boy. I like hang around, but my mind is cold when somebody tells me that, oh, I'm suffering a brutal attack. I'm suffering a lot. The world is going to disappear. And I trust the facts. I only have confidence in the facts. What happens to you? You have been stolen. It's not a cyber attack. You are being stolen. How they do it? Okay, is there being you are being stolen? Forget about get in the intelligence services, the Ministry of Defense involved in this. It's not a cyber attack. You are only being stolen, and it's done in a very stupid way. So that's all for my part. On my behalf, thank you very much for your attention. For attention. Let's go for a round of beers and drink. And should you have any incident, any day, you can call me on 062. No, at night, please. Some perhaps somebody for telecoms engineers pick the phone. But these are our Facebook websites, Twitters, and email addresses for you to contact us. Thank you very much for your attention and your interest. See you all then at the round of peace. Hello, good evening. Downstairs over here. Full down, ready. Thank you very. My congratulations for your cases. And one of the things that makes me curious about is how on this big scenario with so many teams involved, with the company developing, how can you limit a scenario to take the samples from? You only select some very few examples, and I suppose there are other teams in between. I stop everything. I do RAM digs, and I take hard disks, and the company has to buy new equipments. How can you make this without impacting the business in a very subtle way, with very subtle consequences? In this very case, it was very. It's a slightly and relatively easy. They saw the fraud. They saw that user did it from a delegation. You have one guy to be checked. Once you have checked it, if you see there's something strange in between, there won't be any other delegation affected by the same case. So you check other delegations and you try to get a sample. Good testing. If you got it right, you stop it. If you got it wrong, you have to amplify and get a wider sample, but it's only by approximation. We try to disturb these people the less possible. If nothing is limitable, we expand our investigation depending on. But when it got on the scene, security departments, SIRS, from firefighters, the Red Cross have gone through the same area, so they know where the shootings are being directed. We are very obsessed. If the information collected is not useful, we ask for more, trying to be not bothersome. We don't want to stop their business. You got there to help them out the situation, but perhaps you have to stop the service because this will be very good for your service. Sometimes help has implied consequences of stopping the business for 3 to 2 days, and that's it. And this is a cost that you have to take on. Otherwise, I will report the case to the court, to the judges, and that will be a very bad situation for you guy and the company. Very first thing, my thanks. I'm over here. I saw you. I got you. Thank you for clarifying. There are only Americans having breaches. Americans always say, "Oh, I'm the target." Here, also in Spain, we have targets and breaches. Can you give us extra data about how this strengthens we suffer here in Spain? For me to tell and report back to my fellow guests. Oh, the ignorance. Does your phone number line work properly? Okay. So I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Since I went into this unit, I lost 10 lives of my life, 10 years of my life. This is the real reason why I'm here. But incidents like this happen constantly. Thefts of credentials in telco. 10 are enough. 1 million is enough. Uh, 1,000. I don't manage statistics. I have been banned from giving statistics. Call the Minister of the Interior and he will tell you the figures. I'm not allowed to tell you the statistics. Sorry.